honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Something's making noise, Tom.
Thanks, Ashley.
Okay.
And early voting has already started. It goes through, what, the 25th, and then the election is actually on the 29th. It's not enough that we're in here. We got to go out. We got to tell them. We got to tell them who we are. 1, 2, 3.
We the people! We the people! We the people!
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, it is mid-May. Joanne is back at her niece's graduation. It's tomorrow, but Mississippi is a little ways away, so
She hadn't even left
she
yet.
hadn't even left yet.
We need to pray for her. She's been working up until like a minute ago.
You know, I was getting emails from her at 4 this morning.
She's burnt all night
The
doing that.
woman does not sleep.
We need to pray for her.
Yes, please keep her in your prayers. Keep her safe on the road.
Yes.
Give her traveling mercies and bring her back to us shortly. May 15th, this last Monday, was Peace Officers Day. This week is Peace Officers Week, and it happens to coincide with Armed Forces Week. Tomorrow is Armed Forces Day. Flying the flag, exactly. A week ago, actually 6 days ago plus 50 years ago, Douglas MacArthur gave his farewell address to the cadets at West Point. I was going to read you from his words. I was going to talk about everything that the veterans have been going through, about the dirty foxholes, the ghostly trenches, the tropical disease, the horrors of war, what the veterans had to endure, but with the promise of what the civilians would do for them. The civilians would reduce the deficit spending indulged in too long. This was in '62 he wrote this. By the power groups grown too arrogant. But you can read that. I'm not going to. Let's going to tear it up to something you might want to read. The last couple of days, I received a letter that was sent to the board at Grassroots. In the letter, I was called unpatriotic and a coward. I took that personally.
I do too.
The problem was it didn't come from a Democrat. It came from someone who didn't appreciate a decision that we made. You know that as a board, we don't require a majority vote for endorsement. We require at least 78%. 7 of the 9 board members that you put on the board, and of course that's going to rotate and other people will be on the board, but 78% had to decide. That means 3 people could reject an endorsement. Endorsing something from Grassroots is very important. We take that very seriously. Becky, your group's going to get up today and talk to us about how that goes about. But I couldn't help it. I just had to add my 2 cents. And I sent a letter to the other board members, and I sent it to the person who had called us cowards and questioned our patriotism. And Jim Snow reminded me that as a military member, my response could have been 2 syllables long. Frankly, anybody who smacked their thumb with a hammer could have figured out what those 2 syllables would have been. But I wrote it, and I apologize for those who needed to read it, who waded all the way through it. But I really don't apologize for talking about what we did in our selection process. You have to listen to me rant because Joanne's not here to shut me down. There are a number of things that we went through that we always go through in any endorsement. Bob, do you mind if I wander? Is it okay? You don't have me up on there, although the
I can. You want
No,
to be up?
I don't like being on camera.
No,
But,
no, no, no.
but Bob does have the webcam going, and you can reach it even if you aren't able to be with us here. But I wanted to just talk about a few things I observed as we've gone through the vetting process with various candidates. Not with a single one, but across the board. Some of the thoughts that are going through. You're good into it, aren't you?
That's the way the big guys do it.
That's what the big guys do. I'm not a big guy.
We're,
Push chair.
No,
we're still
we're the
growing.
big guys.
Oh,
We're growing.
all right. We think about various aspects of candidates, and I just laundry listed out 10, because that's what I considered when I was going through the candidate. And I've talked to several of the board members, and I think that they were in a similar mindset. We think about birth, and I'm not talking about birth certificates. I know Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh and others are talking about the latest on where a particular candidate was born. I don't mean that. It is important to be qualified for the office you're going through, but I'm talking about, does the candidate hold our cultural values? Does the candidate share the values of those he or she is going to represent? Talk about education. What does a job require? What the heck does a railroad commissioner do? Now, because you've been here, because you've been